So all of this is 3D, CG. This was something that they wanted to do. It was very exciting to
And
have
expensive.
a 3D film. And expensive, but, look who you had in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So all of this was done without us as the performers. This was all done in miniature and stuff like that.
Do you know who the voice of this is coming up?
The cosmos, a universe.
Gosh, I used to, but I don't anymore. Uh-oh, senior moment.
Countless worlds of despair.
I'm assuming this rock looked very impressive in 3D.
Yes, and it was right out in front of you. And then you have this ship, which was very adorable. We actually got to see the ship model, which was cute. And then these are my two characters. You're looking at the back now of them.
We'll see. Oh, we better find that.
Not my voices, but my puppeteering of both characters. Now this is Tony. Hooter is Tony. And Tony is the voice of Hooter. Then you have Fuzzball, everybody's super favorite. Now we're screaming battle alert. Obviously, you heard it. Major Domo doing his thing. He actually did not have a leg. So he was someone who was performing. It wasn't tied up or whatever.
Oh, really?
Actually,
So
yeah, he
Major
actually
Domo,
was an amputee.
because he's supposed to be a space
Now
pirate.
here,
Right?
this back that everybody whistles at, this is a woman.
That's not Michael Jackson?
That's not Michael. That's his stand-in. A woman. A girl. We'll talk about that after. Now, this obviously is Michael.
We're going in. When these lines were said, let's listen to these. The Hooter's bum, first of all. This line right here.
Listen, the command considers us a bunch of losers. But we're gonna do it right this time because we're the best.
That is adorable.
Yes.
So when on set was Coppola at all worried about how adorable it sounded rather than fierce?
Disney was the one that was calling the shots, and Disney just loved it. A lot of them just loved having Michael there because, he has that awe about him that everybody just goes, oh my God, this guy is so amazing. And he just loved it. And then we all worked together to just support our captain however we could. Fuzzball's actually got a hand in the character up on Michael's shoulder, all of that, and then it's erased later.
And so Disney would later get more concerned about the voice of Michael Jackson. Maybe some of the upper executives, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's his voice, so what are you going to do?
Right. More so that but that was later on. That wasn't the people during the production.
No. Everybody loved Michael, loved his voice. During that gimbal scene you saw, he hurt his hand, and then people were using him. People would use him to kind of be in an ad without his, the doctor insisted that he hurt his thumb, sprained his thumb. Doctor said he's got to go to my office, and the minute Michael arrived at the office, there were cameras and press there. So I don't know how Michael felt about every time you turn around, he's this object for you to forward your career with. That was probably one of the more frustrating things I noticed about people.
Yeah. And now we're in the trench run that looks exactly like Star Wars.
Yes, and that's exactly what they wanted it to look like. They wanted it to be reminiscent of it. This is the gimbal going back and forth, and this is that push the button. Mm-hmm. You'll see that he's going to push it with his trunk. That's not Tony, that's me. So when
because
he finally
he couldn't reach it?
Well, because they just, trunk and head, I did it.
Oh,
and
cool.
that way, and so that's where the puppets would cross over to the suit characters. But Hooter was mostly played all the time by Tony, and then I always did the bird characters.
And Tony, the characters almost respond to his snorting, but he also says words.
Yes, he does.
That was an interesting choice, I thought.
And he's amazing. He's only 3 foot something. Sorry, Tony, if I'm wrong. And he drives a Cadillac that's adjusted for his height.
That's funny.
So he was a real kick in the pants. This sequence was done second unit, and Francis's son, the one that passed away in the boating accident, was our director.
Oh, really?
So when he died, we were just devastated. And then Michael had all kinds of garbage on top of him, having to shoot this take 5 or 6 times. You know, we were always having to cover him in garbage, and he was a good sport about it.
Did he interact with the puppets like they were real people?
Yes, loved it. Like when he runs up, he grabs the hand of Idie and Odie, and yeah, he just loved them. He really just jumped into the part.
Now this whole movie kind of turned into what Coppola didn't want, which is he didn't want a music video. He wanted a story, and but that he got his way for the first half, and then the second half turns into more just a music video with story elements.
Yeah, Disney felt, Disney was the one, footing the bill. So once you've got it in the can, you don't have a lot of. I'm sure Francis had some say, but he didn't have all the say.
Right.
So Disney was able to do. So here is the two little people doing Idie and Odie, and if you watch them, you can see their challenges when they're trying to walk and move, and their restrictions based on the outfit or the character. So.
Yeah. And the fuzzball, is he always there, or is that added in later?
Michael is always with us on this. We're shooting second unit, and they're shooting with the dancers, and then we're all here together during this.
But a fuzzball,
Fuzzball, yeah, fuzzball is they do the shot on his shoulder like you see, and then if any time fuzzball had to fly, they did it later.
Got it. And so
So
now
these are the Whip Warriors that I built. These characters, and then the ones that come out and later whip him. Here's Angelica. You can tell it's her. So that's her. She's only about 5 or 6 feet in the air. The camera is right below her.
And so she was fine with going up at this point, right?
She's fine with going up only 3 to 5 feet, and then I do the high stuff. So that high first shot is me.
That's you
and
in there.
then they cut to her coming down.
Turn the others into trash cans.
Again, these are the people in the suits, not me puppeteering. So they're they are actually the performers inside the outfits.
Yeah, you can tell they're not. So even back there, they're not you.
Yeah, no, they're very restricted. So what happens is and you can see they got a little bit of movement, and their hands are wiggling, but
Yeah.
that's about all you're gonna get.
So there's 2 of them.
There's 2 people, one in each, and they're like a 3-legged race, strapped together like a 3-legged race.
And Hooter's design was similar to one of the aliens in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, and that was Rick Baker and his team. Tom Hester, I think, is the performer for that.
And this makeup is quite elaborate. You had to put it on too, right?
Yeah, the problem was it was originally going to be a full face piece with Shelley Duvall, but she was claustrophobic, so she opted out, and Angelica agreed to do it. And then when they went to put the makeup on her, she said, "You're not covering my face," and they were stuck. So they had to do paint instead. So you see all that paint. It was originally supposed to be something else. This is all CG, obviously.
This is CG or is this stop motion?
It's CG. Yeah, CG with stop motion. Yeah, it's together, but it's mostly CG and stop motion, a combination of both, I would say. Once he turns into the drum set, then that's me behind the drum set.
Gotcha. So that's how they hid you.
So that's me doing the puppeteering.
So you were just laying down, or were you on your knees?
Yeah, I'm sitting on a chair while
And that's
puppeteering.
you.
The whole body covers me, and then this is me also. So it's kind of weird. I'm performing opposite myself.
Yeah, that is weird.
And you'll notice that they dance really well. This is because I tell people if a puppet's not functioning right, break it, and then just apologize, and then tell them not to fix it. So I broke the necks of both Idie and Odie because they were too restrictive. I couldn't perform them the way I wanted, so I busted their necks. So you'll see when they move really fluidly because I just changed it.
And here's Michael Jackson and his dance powers.
Yes. Now, in this case, you're going to see some things that you may have thought you didn't see. As they dance, there's one dancer who turns the wrong way. Everybody talks about, that's a friend of mine now. He's quite adorable. He's embarrassed because they go, "You're the dancer that screwed up." He said it was hard for him to live that down. But I think it's great because he has notoriety now as the dancer that went the wrong way. So something special for people who watch it a lot can see. They rehearsed this a lot, but Michael watched it from the side, walked in, and just did it. So he didn't rehearse very much at all.
Yeah, this is definitely at the height of his dancing. Oh, that little that stop in the music and the
Yeah, and it's all his choreography, really. He had a choreographer, but they knew what Michael did well. So he could watch it. You know, people would say he watched it and he could just dance. But what I didn't realize is he watches it like from the side. Who watches it? He wasn't in the front. He wasn't in the back. He's on the side. And then he would just jump in and do it. And I was like, my goodness. Wow.
And so Fuzzball's the guitar player for some reason.
Yes, and the puppeteer, that's so the puppeteer can be hidden behind. See the heads? See how they move? Yeah, it's because I broke them.
That's hilarious.
I tell puppeteers, you just go, oops, oh, I broke it. No need to fix it. We must move on. So that's what I would say. Now you're going to see them walk towards the wall and take a special notice of the two men that get released from the pillars first. They are actually Poppin' Taco and Poppin' Reggie. They did Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, very famous for their pop locking or their pop dancing. And Michael wanted them to be noticed. So he put them in the pillars. But when they jumped down to join the group, they actually turned into different ethnicities.
Like as people or as
in other words, it's a Puerto Rican, and it's
I don't know if it was like a blackface situation.
Black guy, but when they jump down, they're no longer black. They're like Caucasian, or I can't remember what it was, but that's because the two poppers play the rainbow jukeboxes. So when they jump down, they're different dancers. This is the sequence. These are the whip warriors I built. This is the sequence where you'll see they're doing all this kind of crazy jumping, and they never told me. So at one point, the head pops off, and I had to constantly repair them because they were dancers. If they had just told me they were dancers, I would have made them so these dancers could have seen better and would have an easier time of it with these suits. As it was, they worked against these suits quite a bit.
And so he's trying to escape here.
Well, he's just trying to get away from these whip warriors because he knows if they get him, he's sunk. So he's just trying to figure out, what can I do? And Fuzzball ties the knot. Obviously, the knot was pre-tied, and we pull him away. He hits the whip warriors. They become the jukeboxes. Poppin' Taco and Poppin' Reggie are the jukeboxes. There they are next to him. But in order for them faces to be seen, pillar number 1, Poppin' Reggie. Or Poppin' Taco. And pillar number 2 will be Poppin' Reggie. When they jump behind, they are different. They are not these two fellas. So when you see them jump, you'll see, whoa, they're both black. Look, that's what it was. They're both black guys.
Oh,
so
okay, they're much different.
The Puerto Rican gets left alone. He becomes more tan.
Wow.
But I always love to show that to people because it's kind of funny. Kind of a funny bit. Dancers are something else. They love to smoke. I never understood that. And they also are like locusts. They can go past a craft service table. That's where the food is. And just nothing will be left. So you had to get there before the dancers or you would starve to death.
And he's so aggressive when he sings. You know, I mean, his voice is finally full.
And this whole sequence
what is happening to him
because they're filming him. He's being risen on a lift, so he's floating up. They're showing he's got the power to float up. This is me. This whole business is me, not her. Yeah. So anytime it's way high, and anytime they shoot him, it's me.
And that's not you.
And anytime it's her close, no, that's her, because it's close up, it's her. And this is the outfit where she became the queen because she insisted on being the queen, and this is the outfit her designer from New York designed for her. And so that's why it's kind of awkward when he kisses her hand, is like, you know, because back in the day, he always had a love interest. So people just couldn't understand why, and now these are the people inside the suits again. So you can see while they dance the restrictions, with the exception of Hooter, because Hooter's got both arms and both legs, so he's doing this nice little jivey dance.
Yeah, Hooter always ruins everything.
Yeah.
And this is the longest goodbye in cinematic history. This goodbye probably cost $3 million.
Yeah, they don't want to go off Michael. And it had to be a 20-minute. You couldn't go less than 18 to 20 minutes because the projector, that's what it played. Huh. So they made choices on what they thought about it.
Like, he's still leaving right now. Like, he's...
Yeah. And you see them dancing. I mean, this probably took 3 days to shoot. Because, first we're in the bad set, then they have to redress it to the good set. And then they did the stop motion change. So, yeah. And the original, of course, didn't have lasers, it had rumbling, and the seats would you'd react, and it had great 3D, but it didn't have things that bounced or moved when it was brought back. They added that because they had really kind of trashed the whole thing, thinking it would never come back, and then all of a sudden they had to scramble to bring it back.
And this is just classic 80s right here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like so it was but what a great experience, what a lot of fun to do. I got to meet George Lucas and speak with George Lucas after being such a Star Wars fan that he feared.
Oh, really?
I walked up and said, "I'm Terri Hardin." Yeah. And he looked at me, and then he gave him the realization, oh, it's that crazy girl that saw the movie 181 times. And I said, it's what set me upon the path of my career. So
man, that must be weird for him to create that movie, George Lucas to create Star Wars, not knowing that it would even get produced in the way that it did, and
there's my name going up.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, look at all those dancers! Wow. Is Tony?
Is
Tony a dancer? Counted as a dancer too, or is that a different Tony?
No, Tony's an actor. Little Tony is an actor. In fact, you can see him on Me, Myself, and Irene. He's the other guy. You can see him on. You can see him in I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka. He plays the pimp, and the car drives up. It's a super long limo, and then the door slides open, and he's standing. Because those super long limos, you expect someone to be sitting, so it slides back and he's standing in his zoot suit. It's really funny, and it's an '80s movie called "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka." I think it's '80s. Anyway, he's very, very talented. He also was in Bad Santa as the elf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a really amazing performer, and he's such a sweet man. And so my heart goes up every time I see him, and I'll write him and say, "You're becoming a rock star, Tony." So